Welcome back to more Storybook Brawl content. So, tonight a massive patch just dropped, which is crazy because there's a big tournament this weekend for the October and November months, I want to say, which I will be in. So all the practice I've had is now moot, but that's okay because I love new patches. So, I want to read through this and just kind of give my thoughts on it, and probably won't be a very long video. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing, there's a new hero called Sharebear. Starting with the normal 40 health. After each brawl, you and your last opponent gain +1 gold. They say sharing is caring. I'm curious to see the effect this has, like if it's worth it. It's almost like the Mad King, except there's no risk of losing life. You're just helping someone else. So you could like help a horde dragon find his treasures, or help a Pied Piper find his copycats, you know, so there's some drawback here. It's interesting. I don't know what the payoff is, like, if there's any synergies, or if this is just like a, I don't know, I'm going to have to see this character in action, because I'm not really sure what to think about it. It's so strange. Next on is the Sphinx. Your shop sells an extra spell, and when you level up, your spells are free this round. This hero is crazy with not copycat, with hat ball, because if you have hat and ball and you level up, then you can just go infinitely, like it won't stop. And if you do hit a wall where nothing targets, then you can just roll and keep going. So this is a hero that is very scary to me. I guess the downside is like she doesn't do a ton on like normal, like in between turns that you aren't leveling up. She's just kind of like a bad potion master at those stages. But like you can also time her. Like imagine you're at 3.2 and you lock with a XP spell, and then the next turn you're able to cast it for free and buy units, and that's crazy. So I think this is going to be a very strong hero. Moving on, this is a hero whose concept I absolutely love. King Midas. You just need 2 copies to upgrade a character, but you can never find a treasure. This is so cool. So it's going to do a few things, right? It's going to make lobbies move a bit faster, because you'll be upgrading characters fast, so you're going to be dealing more damage. It's also going to allow you to capitalize on things like Romeo and Juliet, for instance, or King Arthur. Like, I imagine Arthur is probably very good with King Midas, so you're probably going to want to go Princess and Princesses fairly often. That's the main one I can think of. This just seems very strong, and I'm super excited to play with Midas. Moving on, they are changing a few heroes. Sad Dracula, which if you've watched any of my videos before, you've heard me say that I don't like him very much, and I haven't touched him since they nerfed him. They're now changing it. They nerfed the ability again. Slade only gives +2 attack. However, you permanently get the first attack of every brawl. Now that is strong. You could put a ranged unit first and always go first. You could put Medusa first and always go first. You put Copycat first and always go first to trigger your good boys or whatnot. Like, that's just a very, very strong ability. I don't know, like, in my mind, this moves Dracula up, like, this is crazy. I'm going to have to do a whole new tier list with this new patch. I might do that tomorrow. But yeah, I think this is very strong. Moving on, they are nerfing Apocalypse, 50 health to 45. This was probably needed. There are a lot of games where Apocalypse goes down to like, 6, 7, 5 health, and then from there on you just can't beat them. So this is going to help balance him out. Apocalypse was very strong. In my tier list video, which I'll put in the description, I put him as S tier. It's the only S tier. And now you could probably bring him down to A. He's more like Grandmother now, except, yeah, I guess, I don't know. he's less strong, which is mostly what we needed the nerf for. Moving on, so Skip isn't changing here, but in functionality he's changing, right? Skip will now show level 3 characters on turn 2. This is to make up for the inability to log level 3s on turn 1. So now instead of having awkward level 2s, you'll just start with level 3s, I think. Morgan, they're trying to make her stick. I think she needs to be completely reworked. Like, now, like, adding 45 health, I guess it does make her a little bit better because, like, you'll hit 20 later in the game, so you'll get a better treasure. I might have to try her out. I've been avoiding her because I just don't think it's a very strong ability. Beauty, they're adding some health to, so she can stick around a little bit longer. I like that. And now these are some balance changes on characters. So Tweedledee is moving from a 3-2 that summons a 2-3 to a 6-1 that summons a 1-6. However, the actual like text of the card says, with my attack and health swapped. So if I buff this into a 6-6, then the new creature will be a 6-6. If I made this a 7-2, then the next creature will be a 2-7. If I make it a 10-1, then the next one will be a 1-10. So it gives you a lot of room to play around with like buffing it and changing their stats, and I think that's really neat. They're also buffing Angry, so from a 4-10 to a 5-15. This is just to make sure that he actually survives the damage dealt. I think it's a good change because it always sucks whenever he immediately dies. These two changes seem very good though. It makes me a little worried about dwarves, but this change changes a lot of things. White no longer scales at all. She's now just a non-dwarf dwarf lord that can give you treasure after you buy 7 dwarves. So this is a pretty big nerf. White was like a lot of the early and mid-game power of dwarves. Lordy also got changed. Really just removing the Princess White text because she no longer scales. So yeah, that's just kind of a quality of life change. Moving on, they did remove Bossy from the pool because White kind of fills the same role now. I think this is actually pretty impactful because I don't know, like Bossy's like, especially an upgraded Bossy is just very good in the mid game and sometimes even the late game. So losing this seems wild to me, especially because Princess White doesn't count as a dwarf, especially not with Lordy anymore. So you're kind of like, you no longer have a dwarf lord, you have a like mediocre dwarf lord that's also not a dwarf. So overall, I think dwarves gotten weaker, but they did buff them a little bit to make up for it. So I'm not entirely sure where they stand now, but it will be interesting to see. Oh, also Crafty got nerfed from +3/+3 to +2/+2. Moving on, they are re-adding Grimsoul. Same exact text as it was before it got removed. So polywoggles are better now. Slay comps, especially now the Dracula's changed, are better now. That'll be interesting. Lancelot is getting buffed from a 7-7 to a 9-9, which is great because I almost never take him because he's always too weak by the time like level 5 or 5.1 roll around. Shadow Assassin is changed. They're making it a 2-4 to start, but it no longer gains health. This is because ranged units at the end of the game are really tough to beat because they have a whole lot of health. So now they're changing it to where you're going to have to like manually with spells make their health higher because just any attack's going to kill this in the late game. So a little more presence early game in exchange for being kind of glass cannon-y in the late game, which is probably a good change because with all these slay buffs, Shadow Assassin was going to get kind of wild. Chupacabra also got changed. Still a 7-5, still at 4. But now instead of giving +1/+1 to it and the creatures behind them, it's just attack. So they're kind of doing the same thing that Shadow Assassin did. I think this moves Chupacabra back to being like kind of mediocre. Like the issue I've always had with Chupacabra is when it attacks and doesn't kill, it sucks. And when it gets attacked, it sucks. And the way to get around that was to actually kill with it so its health went up. And now we don't have that option. So you'll have to like manually with spells buff the health, or with supports buff the health, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem great to me. Maybe the extra attack will help like actually get slays, but I don't know. I'll have to play with this one to really see how I like it. Moving on, River Witch Mermaid, they are buffing it from a 4/4 to a 4/8. I like this change. It's nothing crazy. It makes it a nice target for Chupacabra. Um, but like, I don't know. I didn't experience too much trouble having these stick around. So it's a little bit of a strange change. But I mean, any buff is a buff. And I think she's a good hero that could probably be picked more, or character. So I like this change. They're adding +5/+5 to the Great Pumpkin King. Not changing. Now summons 1/1 cats for every. Gotcha. Okay. So it's bigger here. 5/5 to a 10/10. And now whenever a little 2-unit dies, instead of there not being anything, it summons a 1/1 cat. So that's pretty nice because sometimes you do end up in a spot where you have Great Pumpkin Kings and 2-mana creatures because you're running the Arc, or because you had another Pumpkin King and a level 3 character to give you level 2, so on and so forth. So now instead of getting nothing, you'll get a 1/1 cat, which I think is a pretty good change. It's just a nice quality of life change, a very small buff, in addition to a pretty nice buff. So I like this change because Pumpkin King getting like lightning bolted or whatever really sucks at the beginning of a fight. So now just a little bit more resilient. Can still get lightning bolted, but it's easier to get him out of that range. So I like this change a lot. They are removing Exploding Mittens from the pool, much like Bossy. They're just claiming that it like just made fights go on too long. I also like this coming out because they just buffed Angry, and this is just terrible versus dwarves, because it just triggers Angry a million times. So I kind of like this leaving because now you don't have that like tension. And it was always really obnoxious. Like if someone was on dwarves, you just could not take this treasure. So I like that they're removing it. Copycat's getting changed from a 2/12 to a 2/8, just so things can actually kill it, and it actually being able to attack isn't a given. So I do like this change because Copycat comps were kind of all over the place and doing very well. So this kind of brings them back down to earth, I think. They'll still be very good, especially with Pied Piper. But overall, I think this is a nice change. Monster Book moving to level 4. Slight nerf in stats, but you get it earlier. I like this so much. I've always felt like I never quite want it unless I have a way to abuse it or utilize the extra spell, and now I feel like it's just a good level 4 unit. You also get this like now level 4 right after you get your Spellweavers, and I like that a lot. And that's most of the changes. They're also adding some new animations, new art for Black Prism, the 9th book, Noble Steed, Ring Revenge, the Arc, and that's about it. I think I'm most excited for Lancelot being a 9/9, so I can actually play him. Grimsoul being back is going to open a whole lot of new avenues. The dwarf changes are okay. I'll see how that goes. Apocalypse nerf is fine. Sad Dracula is crazy. I'm very excited to play with Sad Drac. I'm extremely excited to play with King Midas. Sharebear I'm iffy on, and the Sphinx, I want to try it. I have a feeling it's absolutely busted, but we'll have to see. And that is the patch notes for December 14th of 2021. And I will leave you with that. Please let me know what you think about the patch notes in the comments. I'll be down there chatting with you. And otherwise, just thank you guys for watching. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. If you don't like what you see, let me know in the comments what I can do to change your mind. Thanks. I'll see you next time.